Hello, all, and welcome to the first episode of the Our Redonkulous Life podcast. I am Michelle from OurRedonkulousLife.com. And before I get started, I just want it to be known on the record how awkward it is to sit at your office desk and talk to yourself because you're alone, because no one else is here. And it's very awkward, depending on how long this podcast is going to be. I also know that I need a better mic, but I'm tired of waiting to do things. My new philosophy in life is to do it now and fix it later. I thought I would start this week's podcast off with how I unintentionally started my self-improvement journey. Because I didn't plan on a self-improvement journey. I don't think anybody does. But on and off for years, Mike and I would discuss what we wanted for our lives together, and for the first 7 years of our relationship, it was just that. It was a discussion. Neither one of us actually did anything to change how our life was going. We just worked our jobs and complained about the things we didn't like, but never did anything about it. And I had this nagging feeling inside of me that I just didn't know how to get rid of. Because I always had the mindset that I was going to live and die in the same town that I was born in. I lived 33 and a half years in the same town and thought, well, this is how life's gonna go. I mean, it isn't the worst thing that could happen, but I knew deep down inside that I wanted more. I didn't want to be rich and famous. I didn't want a lavish lifestyle. I just wanted a little bit more than what I already had. I just want to have a career that I love and a family of my own and be financially stable. And that nagging feeling would never quiet down if I didn't do something about it. And it's hard to do something about it when all you could think about yourself was negative thoughts. I can look back now and tell you I was self-sabotaging. I wouldn't start anything because I would think all these thoughts of I'm not good enough or I don't have anything worthy of saying. I needed to find a way to overcome those thoughts and just do it, which is easier said than done. But because of those thoughts, I can finally tell you with a clear mind what triggered this journey. I'd been blogging on and off for almost 10 years. I never thought I could make it a career, and I say this all the time. When I started, I was young, dumb, and naive, but I really enjoyed it. And I say that I was young, dumb, and naive because in high school, I wanted to be like Peyton Sawyer from One Tree Hill. I wanted to be broody and moody and really creative, and I wanted to draw and share my weird music tastes with my friends and have a little blog where I could talk about music and be my rebel self, or the rebel that I thought I was. And then as a 20-something-year-old, I wanted to be like Jenna from Awkward, that MTV show back in the day. Even though it was a chick in high school, well, forget that part, but I wanted to have her blog. She had an anonymous blog where she could share anything and everything, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to share everything my little heart wanted to say, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And can you guess who's coming next? Can you guess who I wanted to be like as an adult? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Who did I want to be as an adult? I wanted to write like Carrie from Sex in the City. Didn't we all? I wanted to write about my relationships and all the douchebag assholes I'd come across. But really, who was I kidding? I could never be any of those characters. They were all way cooler than I will ever be. However, I decided to take a stab at it again. I was unhappy at my current job. Like, literally, nausea, headache, full-fledged crying every time before every shift. And after 6 months of talking about it, having one of our discussions, mine and Mike's discussions, I took the plunge. I got tired of just talking about it, and I started Our Redonkulous Life, the vlog, March 6th of 2019. I wanted to share the local adventures my family and I were having, because we're not the richest people in the world, and because of that, I would spend hours and hours just scouring the internet for fun, cheap, or free things to do that could get us out of the house and explore Florida. I also wanted to share our journey to becoming all cash spenders and share cheap, delicious recipes. Really, I just wanted to share anything and everything that sparked my fancy. However, things took a turn the more I wrote and thought of ideas for blog posts, and I was really struggling. Behind the scenes of the blog, I was struggling. I was lonely and depressed, and I felt as if some of my friends and family never really took me seriously when it came to Our Redonkulous Life, and it was taking its toll on me. I was struggling to get the support I wanted and needed from them. I was struggling with what I wanted for myself, for my life with Mike, and for our family. And I had to learn how to be my own cheerleader. I had to heal myself and what I was feeling to keep myself from giving up on the one thing that I loved to do, which was to write for Our Redonkulous Life. I didn't know that there was a word for what I was looking for, let alone people who made videos, blogs, and podcasts about what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how to. So I somehow came across these videos on YouTube that just mesmerized me, and they were just so relaxing to watch, of these men and women and people just working on themselves and their productivity and self-care. And then I also remember around that time everyone was talking about this girl's book of Girl Wash Your Face. And I was like, all right, like this is the craze. Like I'm not into trends and stuff like that, so whatever. But they were talking about how Girl Wash Your Face was great. Then they were talking about Girl Stop Apologizing. And I was like, fine, just give in, go read. These books are by Rachel Hollis. So I was like, before I buy the books, let me go check and see what she's about. So I found her videos on YouTube, and that she also had a podcast with her husband. And from there, I was hooked. She was all about going for the life that you want, the life that you deserve, doing the things that make you happy because you were made for more. And I was like, yo, this is what I've been saying this whole time, that I am made for more, like I want more. And for this chick's tagline to be made for more, I was fired up, but still struggling to know where to start. And the first thing I did, I guess unintentionally, was I started to remove people from my life, via in real life or on social media, that I don't talk to. I removed people who made me feel less than, and I definitely removed people who thought me starting a blog was stupid. But then I found myself pretty much alone in real life, besides Mike and Michaela. And if you remember, I said that I was already sad and lonely and, wasn't having the support that I needed. And, at first I wasn't happy about that. But then I heard the phrase from Rachel Hollis's Facebook group, #MadeForMore, your vibes attract your tribe. And I was like, oh my God, I need to put out the vibe that I want, that I'm trying to achieve, to attract the people that I want to have in my life. Because I wanted to have people in my life that were doing the same thing that I was doing, which was going after the life that I deserved. So from there, I just started reading and watching all the content that I could find, which could be daunting to others, but for me, if you've read any of my blogs, 90% of my content involves some sort of list. I love lists, I can't help it. And it was fueling my excitement to share my experiences with my readers on the blog. I slowly found myself wanting to inspire people to better themselves and to show people that a person who comes from a small rinky-dink town that has nothing, who came from nothing, was going after the life that she so desperately wanted, not only for herself, but for her family. So because of that, I started putting myself first. Because if I wasn't whole for myself, how could I be whole for my family and for my readers? And then before finding this want for personal growth, I know I was a very lonely, sad, and sometimes depressed. And I would feel like things were just piling up and piling up to the point where I felt like I was drowning. And I would keep a lot of this to myself because I felt like no one would really care. Or if I did tell them how I was feeling, they would make me feel like shit for feeling the way that I felt. Like, oh, you have a roof over your head, you have a job, like you have money, like you have this, like you have no reason to feel this way. And it's like, but what about me? Like, yeah, all that stuff is nice and great and stuff, but what about me? What about what I want and what I'm feeling inside? And because I felt that way, I distanced myself from everyone. And in that time alone, I realized who my friends were and who were just my drinking buddies. My time away from people, I realized a lot of things about myself. I thought for a while there, I was an alcoholic because all we were doing were going out to bars every night. Like we had a bar for every day of the week. And I only drank because I was out at a bar for karaoke. And I figured that out, that I'm not an alcoholic. Because that's what you do while you're out at a bar is drink. I also learned that I don't hate everyone. Growing up, my mentality was it's me against the world. And I guess somehow that rolled over and bled into my adult life. And for 33 years of my life, I thought I hated people. But it turns out I actually enjoy people. I enjoy cheering people on and, wanting everyone to succeed and all this. And it may sound stupid, but it really makes me happy when I see people accomplish something that they did, because then it pushes me to want to accomplish what I want. And then way back in the day, like college days, I thought I was so worthless and unlovable that I was going to die alone. Like I was the ugly fat friend. Good enough to have sex with, but not good enough to be a girlfriend. And I learned that the hard way, And because I had that mentality of, oh, I'm not good enough to be a girlfriend, I took it upon myself to be in a relationship, friends with benefits, because women have needs, but I was going to do this friends with benefits thing because it was on my own terms. And I was going to have this relationship and focus on myself and work and all this, whatever. And I also learned at that time that I am not made for friends with benefits because I caught feelings and he didn't. He stopped talking to me the last month of our relationship, quote unquote. And because of that, I was like, that's it. I am done. I am giving up all these douchebag asshole guys. I was on this man-hating rant. Like, I did not want anyone of the opposite sex to talk to me. I was so fed up. And because I think I just put out into the universe that I was over this, guess what happened? Mike found me. Mike found me. And here we are, getting ready to celebrate our 8-year anniversary in about 2 months. Just knowing that was a moment in my life that I was like, that's it, I deserve more, like forget it, I'll just be by myself. And now, knowing that there was a word that described that and described what I wanted now for my life, I dove in full force because I was very self-deprecating. I made fat jokes, which is fine sometimes. Some of them are not offensive, some of them are funny. But I was using fat jokes as a kind of like a coping mechanism, which isn't good. Because sometimes, again, fat jokes are fine. I know I'm fat, you know I'm fat, it's not an elephant in the room, that's just me. Jake, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. That's a bad joke. That's a bad joke, okay? But it's those jokes and coping mechanisms that caused me to reevaluate and change my way of thinking and viewing the world. How could I go after the life that I wanted if I still did the same things and said the same things that the change wasn't going to happen? Now, I'm not saying you have to change who you are 100% because your personality is shit. No, your personality makes you who you are. But really think about the things you're saying and doing. Is it reflecting who you want to grow to be? For me, it wasn't. I still have my days where I'm in a funk and revert back to my old ways, but I don't let it overrun my life. I give myself that day to feel the feels, and the next day I move on. Am I who I want to be 100%? Fuck no. But I am working every day to be that person. Come on, it's only been a year. Even the world's best therapist can't help unravel all the crazy going on in my head in a year. I have 34 years of shit I have to work through. And that's why I want you guys to come along with me for the journey. Each podcast, I want to discuss topics that weigh us down. I want to talk about it and get it off my chest and then leave it in the past because that's where it needs to be and that's where it needs to stay. Your past may make you who you are and how you react to things. I know for me, I make inappropriate jokes at times because I have to laugh through the pain, which, again, the elephant joke shouldn't have made, isn't good. But if your past made you a shitty person, that doesn't mean that's who you're meant to be. Your past makes you who you are, but it doesn't define you. All in all, I'm on my way to being the best version of myself and hope that this inspires you to go after the life that you deserve. Because if I can look around at my life and notice something was missing and wasn't right with me, I know I can't be the only one who has felt this way. This journey is teaching me to choose my happiness and my mental health over anything in this world. I don't know if this has made any sense. In my head it did, but there's a lot going on in there, so it could be a little jumbled. I'll just give you the short version. The short version is I was unhappy with me and unhappy with my life, and because of that, I knew I needed to make a change. I needed to strive for more and work on being the best version of me that there will ever be. Not a better version of myself. That implies that there was something wrong with me. But there's not anything wrong with me. Something was wrong with the idea I had of myself, and that needed to be changed. But guys, I think that's a wrap on the first episode of the Our Redonkulous Life podcast. I do hope you guys enjoyed it and also hope it inspires you to stick around. If you can, please give me a good rating, because it's only going to get crazier from here. Give me a follow if you think I'm funny, and if you want, you can find me on my social media pages and connect with me outside of the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and until next time, have a great day.